What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the live chat. I've got a little bit of a different setup tonight, so things are going to be a little quirky at first, possibly. Welcome to Nashville, by the way. That's where I'm at. Where are you watching from tonight? That's the question right now in the live chat. Always cool to see people from all over, including Tampa, Florida, Illinois, Portland, Vacaville checking in. Hello, Sean. Sharks Fangirl. Of course, Sharks Fangirl would be in San Jose. Party in Nashville. You know what? Broadway looks awfully quiet tonight. I guess it's only 9 p.m. local time here. 7 o'clock on the west. 9 here in the central time zone. Redwood City. Ooh, Las Vegas. I don't mean to be negative about it, but hello, Las Vegas. Rocky from Cali. David, what's going on? Digging the Expos there. James going in on the NBA, MLB expansion conversation. Portland gets the West team. Who knows? Who really knows how that's going to go? Seems like Nashville is obviously a favorite for out here east. Jose wanted to hear the intro. Here's Brody Brazil. I don't have that recorded anywhere. Sarah, hello. Happy to have you. Jose from the town. RD, hello. Damon checking in from Atlanta. I'm actually closer to Atlanta right now than I am the Bay Area. I don't know the screen name there. I always have a hard time if it's not just a simple name. Or like Triple G 0806 on the Amtrak heading to Jacksonville. Wow. You checking in on a train? What kind of internet are you getting out there? Vince and Hayward, Discovery Bay. So I've got some thoughts and comments and things to share here from winter meetings. I'd love to answer some questions though. Sean, the day has been good. The day was super busy, I'm not going to lie. Let me get rid of the music here, and then in a second, I guess I can just whoosh, come on camera. The day was busy. It started at 9 a.m. Central Time, which meant that my alarm clock went off at 8, which is 6 Pacific, which is normally a little bit before I get up. I had a long day yesterday of travel, got in late, was super hungry, got food as fast as I could. But today we got a lot done. A couple pieces filed for digital. Actually, I'm going to read you through what I wrote tonight. 2 different articles. One of them is on Mark Kotsay and how he's the only person under contract. He's really the only thing under contract for the Oakland A's for 2025. If you think about players, there are some that, through team control, like the A's will have the opportunity to sign them, but there's no players that actually have their contract for 2025. The team also doesn't have a stadium for 2025, but they do have Mark Kotsay. So that's one piece. The other piece is on the difficulty of Mark Kotsay to sign free agents right now. And that's actually something that I've been discussing for the last couple days and weeks. You've seen it here on the channel. And it's always, how should I say, at least interesting when somebody confirms exactly what I was thinking, in the sense that this is not going to be easy for the A's to negotiate with veteran free agents. They'll need a couple, but all those free agents will say, hey, give me 2 years, $15, $16 million. And the A's say, great, 2 years, here, you can have it. But then the player's agent will say, where are you guys going to be in 2 years? And there's no answer. So David Forrest essentially confirmed that there was some hesitation by a lot of free agent prospects out there in not knowing what the team is going to be, where they're going to be 2 years from now, and that is posing a little bit of a problem. In terms of getting free agents. So I'll read you through that article that I wrote in just a second. Skywalker, how's it going, buddy? We had that good chat the other night. You shared that very personal angle and aspect. I appreciate you again in the super chat. And that definitely is going to go in the tip jar. It's going to go in the live streaming from Nashville tip jar. Thank you so much. Oh, we got Robert checking in from Auburn. Love that. Will is in Las Vegas. Matthew, Mustang Matt, checking in. JB, chilling here in San Jose. Is that because it's actually cold and you're actually chilling, or are you just hanging out? Let's see what else we got here. But are you really in Vegas, though? Not Summerlin, Paradise, or Spring Valley, or Henderson? You know, it's funny. So many times when I do videos lately and I refer to like a Las Vegas landmark, people will correct me and say, no, that like the Las Vegas ballpark, that's in Summerlin. And then I say, oh, Summerlin, it's its own thing. And then people say, no, but it's just a neighborhood of Las Vegas. And I say, well, what am I supposed to do here? And yes, technically the Las Vegas Strip, I do understand most of it. The south portion is in Paradise, Nevada. It's not technically Las Vegas. Look, I'm doing my best. And I think the comment there was playing off the fact that it's not easy to determine what is where, actually. Instead of just saying it's all Las Vegas, I understand it's not all Las Vegas, but for all intents and purposes, it mostly is just all Las Vegas. Mineral Wells, Texas. Oh, big Rangers fan. I like that. Jimmy, thanks for being here. I'm glad you got the services of Marcus Semien and Robbie Grossman and Jonah Heim. You're welcome. I'll say that. Here's another one here. Love the show. Great job. Thank you so much, Damon. Thanks for saying that. Have you tried the barbecue in Nashville? There's just one problem with that. I have not had meat in 6 years. Which I know. A lot of people out there have a strong opinion to that. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. So eating is always not a really challenge. I mean, you can go anywhere in the country nowadays and have a meal at a restaurant, and there's always a vegetarian item, an option out there. I never have a problem with that, but people always assume like, oh, it's hard to go to dinner with you, or literally we can go anywhere. I guarantee I will find something that I like. For example, tonight we had Italian. I had salad, I had fettuccine Alfredo, I had a glass or two of wine, and we were fine. Everything was great. Is that Harmon? Hello, Sarah Harmon. Professor. Oh, I see. Maybe there was two people talking to each other. I thought that was Louisiana. The barbecue in Nashville is amazing. Look, I can confirm this. Back in 2013, no, was that 12 when we were out there for the Sharks and Blues in St. Louis? Also 2016 on the way to the Stanley Cup final. The Western final was against St. Louis. We were out there a bunch. I had a meat-filled plate. Like, if you want to talk about meat sweats, I had a meat plate in 2016 in St. Louis. Little did I know that about a year later, I'd be off the meats. Oh, I know. Like, I get it. Pappy's? Was Pappy's the name of the barbecue in St. Louis? If those of you out there know what I'm talking about, and if I'm right, let me know just to make sure. Made your family's day. Your brother's children were in tears. Well, you know what, Skywalker? Thank you for sharing that story. And by the way, to fill everybody in, Skywalker was so generous. I mean, not just in the super chat, but generous to share some stories from the past. And a story about a brother who is no longer with us, but how the brother would always be tied to memories of going to the Coliseum. And for as much as we talk about, the team not being around for us and the future and kids and our kids and all that stuff, I think, to have some memories be permanently gone because the place and the team doesn't exist and they just walked away. I think that's one of the many aspects of this that we have not really fully digested yet. We're aware of this and we understand the ramifications, but we're not fully there and actually having a grasp on it. So Mike is following from Krakenland, but always rooting for the Sharks. Hey, I love Seattle. You know what? I'm thinking about planning a father-son trip to Seattle in the near future. They've got a great aviation museum. I love the Pacific Northwest. I know there's also a children's museum. I've been to that, not even as a child, but I know it exists. So love Seattle. And you know what? I can relate to Seattle even more than ever, in a sense that is a market that unnecessarily lost one of its teams, right? if you think about it in reverse, there's no reason the Sonics shouldn't be playing in Seattle. And whatever they are in Oklahoma City, that's fine. It's not to say that Oklahoma City doesn't deserve a team, but it's the fact that Seattle got a team ripped away from them and could be doing just fine, if not thriving. I mean, I literally grew up in the days of Gary Payton and Sean Kemp and Detlef Schrempf before he was a Pacer too, right? But when he was a Seattle Supersonic. Seattle should still have the NBA. That never should have gone away. I can't believe it's been, however many years. I guess we're 15 years or so since they went away. And so I feel for them. And you know what? I have a video coming out in the very near future. In fact, maybe it's even tomorrow, about just how I feel about the Sacramento Kings these days. And I've always had good feelings about the Kings, even though I grew up on the Warriors and I'm from the Run TMC days. And Chris Webber was, before he was a King, he was a Warrior, all that stuff. But I have such a true respect for Sacramento Kings fans and all they've been through in keeping their team. And I think now going through and being in the middle of this process with the A's in baseball, I feel like it's something that makes me understand and respect the cities that have fought this off successfully, or the cities that were on the wrong side of it and absolutely did not deserve it. And so long story short, Mike, I know you didn't even mean to go here, but Seattle always has a special place for me because of that. And Seattle's a great sports town. You got the Mariners, you got the Seahawks, you got the Kraken now. You should still have the Sonics, and you don't. But you should. Jimmy, enjoy the show. Love baseball. Yeah, baseball's, you know what? People ask me too. Like, are you ready to give up on baseball? You frustrated by this? Of course I'm frustrated by what's been happening and how it's all played out. But I love too many people still in baseball that there's no way I could turn away from that. Haha, Mike, you did your part at the All-Star Week in Seattle. I see the green and gold hearts and the elephant and the tree. I know where you're going with that, Mike, and I appreciate it. Oakland will be able to sign free agents probably in February or March when players are looking for jobs and would take reasonable money. I still think, Gary, I think to the point, you got a lot of free agents out there that, they're not looking to go through the process this year and then next year. They want a multi-year opportunity. I mean, if you're really signing all one-year free agent contracts, what does it tell you about the free agent and what they hope to get out of it? Like, they really are looking to make a mark quickly and get the heck out of there. And I don't know if you really want that. I don't know if that's always going to do you the best. Jimmy wondering, what is my favorite ballpark? A while back I did a video ranking every big league ballpark, and I think I chose Fenway as my favorite. And I think Fenway has to be it based on history, tradition, upkeep, kind of a magic feel. Fenway has its own color of green, the monster, the dimensions, the way the fans show up. Fenway's an amazing, magical place. But not far behind that was Camden Yards, because let's be honest, it was the first throwback ballpark that everybody tried to copy right after that. And then after that, not far behind that, was Oracle Park in San Francisco. And PNC Park in Pittsburgh, also beautiful, but let's be honest, they are a carbon copy of San Francisco in that ballpark. So I think I went Fenway number 1, Camden Yards number 2, Oracle number 3. And I think those are my top 3 favorites. If you want to check out the entire list, I literally ranked every ballpark. I also did it in tiers. Like, I did the forever tier, what were the tiers? 4 tiers. Basically the endangered tier, the good enough tier, the special tier, and the forever tier. So definitely give that one a look. As a Giants fan, thanks for the update on the A's and Giants. As a new hockey fan, but sadly I'm a Kraken fan. That's okay, Sean. You can be a Kraken fan. That's totally okay. And by the way, you are going to see a little bit more Giants coverage from me here on this channel. And I'll be very honest, there's so much uncertainty in the Bay Area. That's a part of it. My interest in just all things sports is a part of it. My intent to broaden out this channel is part of it. But also, I am a huge fan of Bob Melvin. I will follow that dude wherever he goes. I will be a fan of that dude and his teams. If he's managing a team on the moon, I'll go to the moon and watch those games. And so the fact that he's the new manager in San Francisco, he's got his staff, including Ryan Christensen, Matt Williams is wearing a Giants jersey again. And he's got a team to mold and build on. So you're going to see some more Giants coverage from me because I'm interested in what they do. And how about the latest discussion surrounding Shohei Ohtani? Now, I did an Ohtani video recently on this channel, and I made the mistake of ad-libbing. I just kind of threw it in there and saying that, Ohtani doesn't really have... First off, he's only played, 3 total games in San Francisco in his career. He's got 10 total plate appearances, 0 for 8. He does not have a hit in San Francisco. And I made the mistake of saying he also doesn't have a familiar teammate, somebody on the Giants already who could usher him in or welcome him in or try and, help him, guide him onto the team. And then people said, well, you're wrong. You're wrong. Alex Cobb, right, is that guy. And did I see earlier today? Now, what was this story? Was it Alex Cobb's Twitter? Here, let's look this up so I can be correct about this. No. His Instagram. That's what it was. Hang on as I search Twitter for Instagram. Alex Cobb. I'm sure it's going to pop up here as soon as I do it. Yes. Oh, no, nope, not Alex Cobb, Logan Webb. Ohtani was only following 176 people on Instagram at the start of the day. Oh, that's right, yeah. Logan Webb became the 177th. So there you go. Everybody's all over that. Did he have a visit to San Francisco? Did those two actually meet in person? Who else met with them? And Bob Melvin, by the way, is going to address the media in just a second. I should say tomorrow he's going to address the media. But we shall see exactly what plays out there. Did I see Chris Townsend? Yes, Townie's here today. So is Commander Cody. Somebody on Damon Bruce's channel. La Professora. Oh, you have a nickname on Damon's channel. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you're also here too. I'm glad for Damon to be on YouTube and really put forth an honest effort on here. That's amazing. What is the overall vibe regarding the Oakland-Las Vegas issue out at the winter meetings, or did they bury it enough a few weeks ago that everyone's moved on? That's a great question. I don't know that everyone has moved on necessarily. Like, to your point, I don't know that everybody has assumed that it's a done deal yet. I think there's a lot of understanding that it's not done, and it has definitely received the approvals and the public funding that it needs. But for some reason, there's not an overwhelming feeling here like, oh, that is 100% going to happen. And maybe that's what people read or they believe, or maybe that's what some people from the A's are projecting, like we'll see how it actually shakes out. Look, we talked to Mark Kotze and David Force today, and I think that's their comment on all of this is we'll see when we see, but we have not seen it yet. I will say this. I talked to several people of the national variety today, and they had some questions. And when we got to the finer details of what's going on here and what's been happening here, there was always kind of a sharp and instant reaction of like, wait, that's how it's going, or that's a detail, or that's a thing. My point is, as much as I stay up on like the Tampa situation or across baseball, other stuff, it's impossible for me to really be up to speed on everything that's going on like outside the Bay Area. And so I think that's what I find with a lot of the national representatives of media is that they're aware of this from a general sense. But of course, as expected, like they don't have the full and complete knowledge of all the details going on. And I don't blame them for that, but I'm here to help educate them, and just to have a better grasp on the picture. So maybe that's probably the biggest takeaway. Hey, we do have some folks in the super chat, which I always honestly and obviously appreciate. Irvine Cattle Ranch, thank you, not just for being here for the coverage. And go, well, now wait a second. Irvine, Los Angeles? Go Los Angeles Kings, go? Which I'm okay with in this day and age. You know why? Because the Sharks will not be fighting the Kings for a playoff spot. We're taking it. We're taking a rest this year. We're going to let you do your thing. But also because you have a great head coach in Todd McClellan. I think you also have Rob Blake in the front office. So I know you're in really, really good hands. Two former Sharks right there. As much as the Sharks-Kings used to be a direct rivalry, I got no comment in that conversation right now. Right now. If you come back at me in about 3 years, I might I might have some offense taken to that. But no, not really. Thank you so much. RD, thank you. For the Tennessee Whiskey Fund. Please don't tell us you stopped drinking too. You know what, RD? I will go have some Jack for you just for that. No, stop drinking. Can you see, are my teeth still like purple from wine? A little bit, huh? Yeah, I should get out. You know what? I feel like having a whiskey here is probably like when in Rome, right? Or when in Nashville. Absolutely. Thank you guys very much for being there on the super chat. I truly do appreciate that. Shout out the glove. Oh, Gary Payton, the glove from Oakland. Kevin Johnson, he did get it done in Sacramento with the Kings and trying to, well, not trying to, but, he was a huge part of it. And you know what? David Stern also deserves a lot of credit, respectively, back in the day. And you think about, look, I mean, at one point, the Sacramento Kings and the Maloof brothers, they sold to a group in in Seattle. Man, I'm all over the place tonight. They sold to a group in Seattle, and the NBA owners, first off, the relocation committee voted no, and then the owners voted no. 22-8, I think, was the final tally. And what was amazing is, even a couple years prior to that, was either 12 or 13, Sacramento and the team had come to this agreement about the rail yards location, which would have been fine. I think where they're at now in G1C is even better. But the Kings backed out of that. And the commissioner was even like, wait a second. You reached a deal with Sacramento and then you backed out of it? What are you doing? So, by the way, I will make this prediction of sorts. You think about the interim years for the A's and where they might land and what options might be out there. Nobody's been doing a lot of talk about Sacramento in recent times. And hypothetically, if it doesn't work out in Oakland, for 25 and beyond, I'd be interested to see if Sacramento is an option, because sharing Oracle Park is also a possibility. I think it comes with just more complications and the 81 home games the A's would need there. I think the A's playing 81 at Oracle is almost a non-starter. Now, the A's playing some games at Oracle may be possible, and some games in Sacramento may be possible. But I also think that if you look at Major League Baseball, they probably don't want a split of home games between two sites and two cities, and the Players Association definitely doesn't want that. So if I'm just guessing right now, if all moves forward and we get to that point, then there's the Oakland side of things. I mean, they've got the Coliseum. The A's, they'd prefer to play there, but at what cost? I mean, the A's are on a $1.5 million lease next year, or this upcoming season. I mean, what if the price goes up to $20 million a year? Benefits the A's to stay there for a lot of reasons, maybe not $20 million worth. And I think Oakland would benefit from $20, $40, $60 million just like that in 3 years. That's a lot of money. Maybe that's a starter for Oakland. I don't know. Jonah Bride Enjoyer. I think, have we interacted on Twitter before too? To Jonah Bride Enjoyer. I enjoy Jonah Bride. There's no question about it. Thoughts on the Coliseum food? You know, I actually did not go to the Coliseum as a fan last year. And when I say that, I mean, I didn't pick out a day game or I wasn't working. And, last year I went through, oh boy, I went through allergies in May. I had pink eye in June. I had COVID in July, and I had some other respiratory thing in August, maybe. I had a hard year. I missed a bunch of games. And so I didn't really have a free day, like a getaway day where I don't typically work those weekday games. And a lot of times my wife and I will just go to a game in August or September once our son is back in school. But we just never did. And the last time I went must have been 2 years ago. But I think that day, I don't even remember what we had. I will say what I did have was is it Drake's Denogonizer? Is it a double IPA? I did have that, and I loved that. Outside of that, I don't remember the food we had. And I don't, I'll tell you what, when the food trucks first showed up, I loved the food trucks. And I still love them. If they show up, I'm not even sure if they do. But I absolutely love those food trucks back in the day. Jimmy, I have not been to Globe Life Field in Arlington. I've obviously seen it. The A's are using it, they say, as a template for what they're trying to do in Las Vegas. I've got a video on that if you want to check it out. That's a much bigger site. It's a much different property. Rick, late to the chat. Good to chat with you during the Sharks and Caps game in the Penthouse corridor. Oh, that's awesome. We ran. Now I remember who you are. Is there a chance you'll meet and greet with Rob Manfred? No, there's no chance. So, quick story. Last year, before winter meetings that I attended in San Diego, I emailed MLB, made the official request like you're supposed to do. Hey, I'm going to be in San Diego. You name the time, you name the place. I need less than 10 minutes of Rob Manfred. Hey, I'm a broadcaster of Major League Baseball. I would just love to interview Rob Manfred. And at that time, let's be very honest, the conversation was way less tense. It was just, it wasn't as much to it. And Rob's people said, no, he will not be available during that time. Okay, that's fine. But then what kind of irked me is that Rob Manfred did hold a press conference that was totally unadvertised, unannounced. Well, if you are part of the Baseball Writers Association of America, it was announced because you were an invited guest to it. I'm not a writer. I'm just a lousy broadcaster. And so because of it, I didn't get to get in there and ask questions. Now, what I learned from that is I should have snuck in, and I'm not looking to get it myself or anybody in trouble, but if nobody asks and I'm able to get into a press conference, then I might try. Yeah, but if somebody stops me, I'll politely walk right away and say that's fine. But I'm pretty sure they check tags at the door. And so even if, he'll be around, like he's here and he will be here present probably tomorrow and definitely by Wednesday. But I do not think the opportunity is going to be there to have any interaction with Rob Manfred. And to be honest, at this point, he's said what he said. I would love to follow up on a few of those things. And honestly, if I ever had the chance to talk to some of these decision makers, it really wouldn't be so personal and so heated. I'm just going to ask smart questions that have, what turn out to be either very important answers or very difficult answers. That's kind of the nature of how I operate. I'd rather let a good question stand the test of time than anything else. Rather than, me being a total idiot. Let's see what else we have here. You might love Fenway, but Henry had to lower beer prices because attendance was so low. Hey, might be true, but at least he's trying. At least they're trying out there. City Nerd did a top 10 most urbanist MLB stadiums video. Okay, I will check that out. I'll definitely check it out. Let's see what else we got here. Rich, watching from Iraq. Is that true, Rich? If that's true, that's amazing. And it always blows my mind that here I am, on a laptop in a hotel room in Nashville, Tennessee, and you are literally on the other side of the world. So if that's true, I'm always blown away by that, and I really appreciate it. Let's see what else we got here. Watching from Los Alamitos at a water polo practice. Coach Eric, is it water polo season? Yeah, I guess it is, right? That's usually a fall thing. What a small world. That also blows my mind. Has there been any talk of expansion? Well, yeah, especially here in Nashville. And you know what's crazy about this trip so far? I landed, about 26 hours ago? And I've only been here at this Opryland hotel. Has anybody else ever been here, by the way? This place is unbelievable. Like, I easily see how you could just stay here, how I could stay here, literally the entire time and not even leave the premises. It is so big. It is so magical. It's like a cruise ship. It's like Disneyland. The rooms and the atriums, and you could get lost here. And it's all indoors, which I probably appreciate here in December, and I think you definitely appreciate in the summertime as well, too. Let's see what else we got here. Jim wondering, any chance the A's Vegas deal falls apart? I think it's so far along in the process, it's hard to see how that totally falls apart. It's not impossible. But now you've got $380 million of help on the way. You've got the approval of baseball owners already done. You've got the situation where if the A's are sold before 2028, it'll come with a 20% flip tax, as in 20% of the sale price goes instantly to the other big league owners. I think at this point, the other owners with that vote unanimously and the passing of public funds back in the summertime, they've made it almost like if you don't go through with this, it's going to cost you. That being said, I'm still quite confused of even simple things like the renderings that were supposed to come out today and didn't. And I was under the impression that the governor, Joe Lombardo, out there, who has a huge background in law enforcement, that they were being very respectful of maybe his schedule and his obligations and his background and part of all that. And that's a true tragedy that they lost 2 Nevada State troopers due to a hit and run middle of the night on Thursday morning on I-15. Terrible. Absolutely. And it's as simple as that. The governor probably had some obligations, but I saw the governor's account on Twitter today endorsing another candidate. And I know that there's no other replacement date for these renderings to come out. And I'm just curious. And I also can put this all in perspective too. We're not talking about the most important thing in the world. 2 people lost their lives. Some families lost their husband and their dad. And that's really what should be the main focus. But that established, there's terrible things that happen every day in the world. And so, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I'm curious. I'm curious about the situation and how it was announced. I mean, you realize all of this was announced after the tragedy. This was announced at 7 o'clock on Thursday morning. The tragedy had already occurred 4 hours prior. And then they waited all Thursday and Friday to ultimately cancel what was supposed to happen today. So anyway, there's always, just when you think that this is a done deal, a home run, an easy one, a can of corn, so to speak, if we're going to use baseball terms, and then something doesn't happen, it blows my mind. Like, it should be so much more lined up, more procedural, and you can see what's coming, and then it happens, but here we are, and a lot of things just don't happen. So, you know what? I haven't gotten to that point yet. Let me see if these articles have been released on social. Because if they are, I would much rather read them off the NBC Sports California website. me just take a quick glance here. Hang on 1 second. Not yet. Not yet. Okay, well, I might end up reading it to you separately here in just a second. But I do want to read the 2 pieces I did today. I promised that earlier. Richard checking in from Sacramento. Great to have you here. Matthew was at Opryland last Christmas. It's magical, you know. And I don't want to send my wife too many pictures. I don't want to, make her jealous. Like that's not. It's a business trip, and I'm working. But the scenery that I do take a quick peek at here and there, it's beautiful here. That's awesome. Do you think if Fisher was able to get financing for Howard Terminal, the A's would have remained in Oakland? I know financing has been a problem. I think the in reverse, and look, to be very clear, Big Mike, I was under the impression and the belief that all of those ambitions were possibilities in a sense that, well, we wouldn't be proposing this if we couldn't do it. I think over time, to see that maybe it's kind of like, when you go to a buffet, if we're making Vegas references, and you can't eat all the food that's on your plate. And maybe it is that same situation that maybe once they realized, like we did Howard Terminal, 3,000 units of residential, a couple 100,000 square feet of commercial, another entertainment venue, 18 acres of open space. Like the price tag on this is going to be redonkulous. And so maybe there was that. But I think the frustration lies in the fact that they were very easily able to kind of pivot in Las Vegas, right? To a site that was 9 acres now and much smaller and much more doable. What if they were able to downsize at Howard Terminal and just say, all right, we're only going to do the ballpark? I think that would have made the project a lot more feasible. Give me 1 second here real quick. I got a text message I quickly need to respond to. Hang on a second. That's work checking in, so had to get to that one. Smoke Andretti. What do you think about that, Brody? I actually don't know what you're referring to. I'm sorry. I got lost in the live chat a little bit. Hi, Brody. Do you think the A's situation affects the Earthquakes of MLS given their shared ownership? I don't know, Chris, that it affects the Earthquakes. I think just the nature of they're run by the same ownership that it's just more of an example of one person's track record or how they operate, how they choose to run the business. And I think that's probably the most fair way to put it. I don't know that anything that happens good or bad with the A's, I really don't know that it will impact the Quakes. I mean, I know people who are near and close to the soccer team. And, although they maybe have some of the same frustrations, they don't spend enough and they haven't been in the playoffs. They haven't had a home playoff game since 2012. I know there's some frustrations there internally and externally, but I don't know that it directly impacts or affects the Earthquake situation based on what the A's do. But I understand that there's a lot of people in the Bay Area who want to be fans of both, or who are a fan of one but not the other, or maybe now just not fans of either team. Rick wondering, has Dave Stewart or anyone from the Nashville ownership deal shown you the renderings? Is there any update on schools over stadiums? First question on Stu. I don't believe I've seen renderings for Nashville yet. Or maybe I did, but I don't know that they were officially from him and the actual group putting it together. But I will tell you, it is our plan on Wednesday, 2 days from now, to go out to the site. Before we fly out of here, we're going to go out to the site and see where they plan on building this, what it looks like, what surrounds it. So I can't wait for that. You all know I'm a stadium junkie, stadium aficionado. And so to always think that I could go out and check out a stadium site before it exists, which is crazy because I remember watching Pac-Bell Park way before it went up, the site. I remember going to Levi Stadium. I did a whole TV segment where I'm walking around. I'm on a hard hat. It's under construction. I remember going to Golden One Center in Sacramento when it was pretty much just a big concrete foundation. So I always love visiting these places before they're actual things. So I don't know that I've seen anything lately, and I don't even know that I've seen anything official, but I'll ask Stu about that. Where are they at in concept and design and all that stuff? It'd be interesting. Stu, by the way, in case anybody doesn't know, is going to be representing the A's tomorrow in the lottery draft. How about that? Dave Stewart is going to be there to represent the A's, and they had the worst record in baseball last year. They have among the best odds among two other teams to get the number one draft pick. So I told Stu earlier that what did I say? He was going to Mr. Lottery. If he's part of the luck that brings the A's a number one overall pick, I'm going to call him Mr. Lottery from now on. And then I'm going to have him buy me an actual lottery ticket. All right, let's see what else we have here. Richard wondering, what's my opinion about the new Oakland Ballers? I made a video about this the other day. I say that often. I made a video about this. I'm glad that you all are thinking along the same lines of things that I should do or already did. I love the fact that people care. Let's start there. I also love the fact that somebody hustled so hard. And actually, two gentlemen, one named Paul, one named Brian. They worked so hard to get this done because it was a passion project of theirs. And because it was, starting with the loss of the A's. This was generated by their heart, their emotions, and trying to do right by, citizens of Oakland and the East Bay. I also just, for the record, have to say that this is a most difficult thing to actually pull off across all fronts. You have Oakland fans already feeling fragile and broken and emotional and frustrated. Some people want to give up baseball. Some people don't like that the Ballers are going to use the same colors, or it's the A's and B's. And some people are saying that, they would love to have the Ballers outdraw the A's on a certain home day where they both play at the same time. This is so hard. This is so difficult to jump into this. And even under normal circumstances, let's rewind the clock, 5-7 years ago, when there was no talk of the A's moving necessarily like immediately to Las Vegas, you'd say, oh, that's cool, but how does it fit in? And now we're kind of like, all right, it's interesting and compelling, and it's going to give people an option and something to do, but it's really hard to compete with an audience in the Bay Area and the East Bay that's been used to Major League Baseball. This is a far different product. It still is baseball. It could be something special. I think time will tell. And I'm not here to, diminish anything that they're doing. I appreciate it. I know the intentions are tremendous. I really do. And they could be successful too, but I also know what they're up against. It's hard to pay players a certain amount to have livable, situations in Oakland and the East Bay and the Bay Area. The travel is going to be very difficult in that league. I also just saw today that there's going to be, it's mostly a league. It's the Pioneer League. It's from like Montana and Idaho, I believe, and that part of the country. And so now you are adding two Northern California teams, which is great for the league. But I think the travel inevitably with that's going to be difficult. The cost of being one of the California teams is going to be difficult. So I obviously hope everybody well. I wish them well. If I can help them in any way or capacity, I will. But I also realize what they're up against. And I also think too that maybe some people are bound to assume, well, that's it. Oakland's done. They got a baseball team back. That's a good enough replacement, when I don't think that it should stop there. Anyway, all of this is part of my video. I'm not sure if I actually got out the proper sentiments here, but I feel like in that video, I did a better job of it. So make sure you check that out. You know what? I did not really address this earlier, the schools over stadiums, because somebody else had a question about it. Look, I saw today that a judge ruled in Nevada that they will expedite the process of a lawsuit that they filed to keep their initial appeal to their initial efforts to get signatures. Like at some point, they just have to reword their language before they go out and get signatures. They have not even started collecting signatures yet. But when they start, I mean, as of this point, they have about 8 months left to gather 102,000 signatures, 25 from northern Nevada, 75 from southern Nevada. Of registered voters, I believe, the signatures have to be from. Of all the things that I have questions about in this process, I'm not sure how logistically possible gathering that many signatures are, but I don't know if it's that far-fetched. I don't know. I guess it depends on how hard you work, how intense they are about this process, how many weekends and weeknights, and how many ways do they do this. If they're really motivated and they have the funds and resources to do it, it's not impossible. And inevitably, if it goes to a referendum vote for public money on a ballot, those things never work. Like, they always take the public money away. So this could be a stadium. This could be anything. A referendum vote is going to spell trouble for the public money for the A's Las Vegas ballpark. But the real question is, did the signatures happen? And I'm not qualified in that realm to know, but if I'm guessing and looking at the population of Nevada and interested parents and, the time remaining, it's not like they have 7 weeks to do this. They'll have basically 7 or 8 months to do this. So, somebody outside in the hallway. That's the thing about broadcasting from a hotel room. Maybe I've been too loud. Maybe my neighbors can hear me, by the way. Maybe I need to whisper a little bit more. Let's see here. Oh, I did do 2 long videos on the Ballers. I did one with Paul and Brian. I also did one just kind of with my afterthoughts about it. Kelly, love the coverage of the whole A's situation. I appreciate that. As a huge fan of both teams, the A's and Rays, man, it is concerning times. And you know what, Kelly? I've been talking to a lot of people recently, the last day here, about the Rays too. And most assume that, that's done and squared away because they heard an announcement. And in reality, that one still needs a vote in Pinellas County and also a vote by the city of St. Pete. And when they eventually went over the details, when they went over the details of what the term sheet was, they're like, wait a second, this isn't what it appears to be. So, look, I hope the very best for the Rays, based on what we're all witnessing in Northern California. How could you ever want the Rays to go anywhere? But I also do feel like their situation has been a little bit different thus far in that it was either Tampa or St. Pete. And you could drive back and forth between the two, and maybe most people even in St. Pete preferred Tampa, or definitely in Tampa preferred Tampa. But the bottom line is, it's not like right now it's Orlando or Tampa, but that's the dangerous part. What if it does get to that point, right? Orlando really, really wants a team. The Dreamers really want to exist. There's money, there's plans, there's land, there's a stadium idea, there's renderings. So they're out there. And you know what? They don't care how they get a team. They don't care if it's expansion or relocation. And I'm also going to tell you this, now that the A's didn't pay a relocation fee, what if you're Orlando and you're trying to get the Rays? They'll be like, oh, look at it. It did autofocus on my finger. Look at that. That's too bright. Orlando's going to say, wait a second. The A's didn't do relocation fee. Why should we? So that has been an interesting precedent set by baseball with relocation fees. Did I see right field Will checking in? I did.